we get moving, may I introduce Burcin Ozturk. She's the Manager Global Operations Integration, Mining, Machine Applications with Glencore. A long experience in the mining industry, but very quickly, I'll just bring it straight over to you.
So I'll just see if this is going to work now. Is it working? Okay, as it comes. All right, let's start. Thank you so much for making the time today, because I know it's the end of the day, everyone is a little bit tired, and I'm sorry being the last person for today. What I did prepare, I prepared something more interactive today for you to discuss about, basically more about the management of change and what else do we need other than the technology selections and the digital asset management space.
You might have to use the microphone.
Yeah, maybe I should do that, sorry. Is it better now?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's why I just did prepare something more interactive, and I will appreciate if you have any questions, please interrupt me and ask questions so we can have more interactive sessions today. The presentation will go through the process that I sort of research, looking into the different companies that I work for. I work for the OEM, Caterpillar. I work for mining companies, Tier 1 and Tier 2 mining companies before. I've done a little bit of academic background. I've done that too. Production, maintenance, technology type of roles. I ended up always working for the asset management teams. So that's why we will now go through the experience and observation to see what are the key drivers in the business that we should consider for asset management, will be more important than others, and we should get ready in the future. So there are three main things that we will come back to. It's more into, in my view, industrial network, technology connectiveness, and asset operational integrations are the three main key drivers that will help us to progress and more efficient in the future with the digital era. All right, so let's talk about today's mining world. What are the things do you think will be more critical than others and are still a problem in mining industry? Any suggestions? Okay, so then, okay. Technology changes. That's a good one. Thank you so much. And these are the main ones I do believe, from my experience, will be still sits together with the technology changes as well. So safety is one of the most critical items, which will be still an issue for mining. We definitely need to improve. Climate change, it's a really important one that we will talk about. 4 to 7% of the carbon footprint comes from mining. So it is still an issue, so we have to definitely improve that. Regulation and policies, so the government, ChatGPT feature, how it's going to look like for us, how we're going to manage asset management principles, considering the technology changes, what will be the new regulations and policies around the world. It is still a problem for mining. I don't think we have solved that yet. And the supply chain. In supply chain, there's a bit of a gap in asset management, as you may know. Started with the technology changes. Maybe you know in the last couple of years, we did have issues with the chips. We couldn't progress in technology. There are lots of opportunities and theoretical stuff on the shelf, but they are not available as yet because of the issues in the supply chain. So these are the main 4 pillars I will go through today with you from my observation. I do believe we should improve in mining asset management. So I did prepare a quick survey. I will ask you to scan, and if you see if it's going to work. If it's not going to work, we will skip, but it should work. Let's try. I just asked a couple of questions for you to answer, and I want to understand how the mood in the room. Can you log in? Yes. Okay, it's working, great. While you are answering the questions, I will just ask you who is coming from or working for mining companies, including consultants? All right, there's a good mix. Who is coming from OTM and technology businesses? Not many in this room, okay. And who is coming from government or any other different type of industries today? Great. That's a good mix, like 50-50. Thank you. Couple more minutes. It is not a quiz or anything, it's just a general blood check to see how we are feeling today. What I will ask you now, if everyone is ready, what was the most interesting question? Because apparently those 3 questions are the more asked questions in mining industry in the last 2 years. It's that I asked ChatGPT. These are the 3 ones that they...
Number 2 for me.
Number 2, do you want to talk about it a bit? Why do you think
the whole world of efficiency for me is productivity, it's better job satisfaction, it's all of that comes together when you do a job well. So I'm very interested in how we can become more efficient.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I agree. So that's why I'm just thinking the efficiency will come from, I will talk about it, operational readiness and management of change. Obviously, it's the integration, how we're going to engage with customers, how we're going to engage with employee, how the training models we will develop to make sure the digital era is going to be implemented, because it's faster than before, and we need to act on it more professionally and faster than before. So that's a good way of explaining it. Unfortunately, I cannot see the results because the internet didn't work. I will have them later. But is there anyone else wants to talk about any other questions? Do you think they are really interesting? It is a really good information considering today's world in mining and what's happening at the moment? Those are the questions do you think will become more interesting in the future as well? What do you... I'm sorry, I cannot hear you very well. Would you mind? Yeah.
So basically...
Which one do you think is important? The question was reliability or availability. Is that the one you're talking about?
That's correct. So
yeah.
You look at it 2 sides. From a maintenance point of view, it's always going to be around reliability. So it's all about reliability, whereas when you're looking at it from a productivity point of view, it's about how can you sweat the asset to make sure that it's available to maximise tonnes. And that's the conflict that you have. I work in the operational readiness world, and that's the challenge.
Yeah, look, on the contrary, I think if we achieve reliability, we will always achieve availability anyway. That's how I see it. But there's a different, yeah.
It comes down to, if I've got an operations manager that has a commitment from a productivity point of view, he'll always ensure that the machine is overutilised and maximise that availability. And what they'll do is they'll sacrifice maintenance to ensure that they can meet the KPI.
That's right, yeah, and you are right. In terms of, if we talk about asset planning and scheduling, sometimes for reliability we will decrease the availability and it's going to become a problem. But if you consider the asset life cycle, I agree, it's just going to be, it all goes together at the end of the day. Thank you so much. And where were you from?
Rio Tinto Iron Ore.
Nice to see you. Thank you so much for the comments. All right, thank you so much. Anyone else wants to add anything else to the questions? I was impressed with ChatGPT because they are the 3 questions I was probably asking in today's world. So it was an interesting research for me to see from ChatGPT. Okay, let's talk about each pillar that I shared with you before. So let's start with safety. So why safety is important? I am impressed the fact that there's like 150,000 mining sites around the world. And I was thinking maybe at least 10 million people are dependent on mining, but approximately 2.7 million people directly employed. Apparently, it doesn't include all contractors and consultancy businesses, but they are mostly based at site. They are working like FIFO jobs or working in the remote locations and site-based roles. So it's a big industry when you think about international businesses. And why mining is important? Can we get rid of it? I don't think so. It will become more important day by day, and it is increasing, the demand increasing, considering different commodities, copper, nickel, zinc, all the green mining commodities will continue to rise. And if you think about what's happening in the safety space, the fatalities that we have, I think this is from ICMM. I don't think it does include everything, because I know in Europe, in some countries, we still have higher TRF, total recordable injuries. This doesn't include all of them. I think mostly based on Tier 1 and Tier 2 companies. But it is really still sad, so we definitely need to do something about it. And an asset management gurus in the room, I do appreciate your support and active engagement to see what can we do using technology and different aspects of operational readiness to increase the efficiency in safety as well. So this was to highlight what's happening in safety. If you look at some of the statistical data, you will see Tier 1 mining companies did already see reduction, 70% reduction in the lost time injuries after they start implementing technology, which is huge, right? So this is sort of somehow, I think, human-centered, very critical, very important step for us to consider to make sure the asset management is developing and evolving in the future with the better safety outcomes. It's a safer place for everybody. Tier 2 companies, they did already start seeing the 50% decrease in accidents using the advanced safety systems, you know, the wearable technologies. They start using a little bit, maybe not as aggressive as Tier 1, but they are still progressing very well, and they did see the 50% decrease already in the number of accidents, which is really exciting, right? So this is already telling us using technology for safety itself will really change the era for mining, and especially through the asset management approach through the safety. Because everything you use in the technology space will impact the asset management as well. So that's why I wanted to highlight the fact that this is something that we should not ignore. We should more focus and prioritize as a first item in our agenda. So, and the last one was the real-time monitoring and wearable technology has reduced fatal accidents 35% in some of the mining operations. Any questions with that? Do you think this is reasonable? Did you know that this is already happening? And as a matter of fact, that what I find that we only implement 25% of the potential technology solutions in the market at the moment. So just think about it. So we are in that quarter, we start seeing that improvement impact already, which is really exciting to see. And this will give us, these are the things, if you follow the slides, that you will say that this is coming from technology connectiveness as well as asset operation integration space through the safety. All right, so let's talk about climate change. It's the fancy, trendy subject nowadays. Everybody knows. So these are some of the stats that you can see by commodity. And it is really sad to see that 4 to 7% of the emissions are coming from the mining industry, which is huge, and we should do something about it, utilizing current systems available, current technologies available. And I'm just trying to trigger you to think about, okay, there's many different technologies. We do have really great, robust solution asset management. What else we are going to need, which we will come through at the end of these slides. So this is one of the other things that I wanted to highlight in the carbon footprint and how it's going to impact our technology and our technology connectiveness with asset management technologies. Yeah. So again, we are talking about different solutions. So what are the potential solutions in climate change? And it will be really good to hear if you have been experiencing different solutions? Do you have it on your agenda already? I do believe it's going to be a big challenge for Australia. Yeah, so with renewable energies, the investment required to progress for us, it's really huge. But when you think about globally, like United States, England, Europe, like South Africa, this is going to be a big challenge for mining. Are we ready for it? How are you going to implement this management of change? What are the things that we should consider in advance? Should we have a proper strategy to manage each step when we go through this process? Because it's not something like a procurement strategy, right? We are not talking about buying a digger or a truck. This is not a simple equipment procurement anymore, because back in the days it was a big thing in mining, but nowadays it changed, so we have to think outside of the box and find different solutions. And if you think about the renewable energies, which means the environmental science will become more interesting and more required for mining asset management. So is there anything else do you think I have missed? Like AI-powered predictive analytics will give us that historical safety, for example. Not many companies are using that yet, but there is a potential, and I know some of the technology solutions, they are on the shelf. They are not readily available, but we need to keep track and help OEM and OTM teams to develop something is gonna help more for mining to get ready for that renewable energy and environmental friendly environment. And if you talk about the autonomous vehicles and drones, at the end of the day, again, this will come to the management of change conversation, right? So because everyone is sort of, I was in another room in a seminar, they were talking about how we're gonna look after people because they are losing their job with ChatGPT, with AI, how this is gonna impact each individual, are we gonna need engineers anymore because AI can do better than us? These are all these questions I wanted to trigger today, you to sort of have a perspective and maybe share with your colleagues to say, do we really have a proper agenda to consider our future, our children, and what are we going to do to make sure the renewable energies and environmental friendly mining is ready, and what are the steps that we will do, which we will discuss in the next slides. Anyone wants to add anything in it? Do you guys already have running some projects about renewable energies? Do any research? Has it started, or is just getting there? Anyone started or not yet? No? All right, so that's a bit of a concern, right? If we still haven't got any study going on or any research happening in renewable energy space, I think it's going to be a concern. As I said, there's mandated scopes from ICMM for many mining companies that it is sort of like a mandatory steps for all mining companies to start acting on it to support the carbon footprint for this industry, which is very dangerous and important, I guess. All right, so let's talk about mining regulations and policies. So, look, I personally, when I start dealing with global sites, so we've been into Kazakhstan, Canada, South America, South Africa, there's many various different regulations that we needed to deal with. And the government supports are sort of slow in one place and faster in another country. But it is always complicated. And I do believe, especially in government space, we need that support too. We need to get ready that management of change. As mining companies, for example, we need to find a way to observe and monitor the operations in a better way, in a more professional way. Then we will have that policies and regulations are supporting us while we are going through the management of change, while introducing new technologies, while we start introducing the climate-friendly mining. I don't think we are ready yet. But this will become very important when we start talking about renewable energies, for example. We start talking about decarbonization, new technology, and maybe I'm too long. So that's why I think policies and regulations, even though they seem like they are just paper-based things and they are not very important, they are really important. especially if you want to run a new system or new technology, it will be very critical. And I don't think we are there yet to support the process. That's why many mining companies are struggling. So I just wanted to highlight. I wanted to give specific examples, but we don't have time today. So what we can do about it, so this is my personal view. So if you look into the different mining organizations, one of them are my favorite, ICMM, International Council on Mining Metals, ISA, International Organization for Standards. I'm sure you already know all of them, but the mainstream event, so this event is great for us to network and talk with each other, share the knowledge, learn from each other, share the experience. It will be very important for us to sort of develop that engagement with government, some of you coming from the government as well. So to see what are the regulations in mining will help us in the future, drive the value. It's like, I don't want to say profitability, but it is important. In a safe environment, in most profitable, most optimized conditions, we can still go through the professional management of change process while we are going through the change in this era. And as I said, I am really surprised the fact that with ISO standards, some of them are not really matching with the OEM standards, like including machine design, for example. With OEM, there is no guidance from the customers to the consultants or OTMs or OEMs. We just need to let them know what we want. What are the issues that we are facing today? So most of the conversations in other seminars that I heard, data management is still a big issue. If you don't know what you have, what you are getting, what information is available, how are you going to even consider having a new technology? And as a matter of fact, in our company, we lost lots of dollars because of $1 million, because of incorrect technology selection, which wasn't available at the time in terms of by ISO or ICMM. So that's why we need to support and have those networking a little bit more professional, more organized way that will help us to develop ChatGPT-based, more technological, advanced level approach. Right now, we should be able to ask that question and know the answer, but unfortunately, it's not exist. So when I go to OEM, I ask certain design that it doesn't work for this side, we still have safety issues, I can't get an answer, and there is no guidance portal that we can find good enough to implement the new technologies available. Anyone wants to add anything? Are you guys facing similar issues, or is it me just seeing this impact? Anyone seeing the same issues?
I'll just add something, if I may. The sad part is if you've got external in safety requirements and environmental requirements, we tend to go for that.
Yeah.
If it's within our own heart that we should have it, we don't necessarily do that. So we've got to start to think more strongly from design all the way through,
Yes.
that we have standards and we meet standards.
Yes. Yes, I agree. So how do you see Australia? Do you think, Peter, Australia is a little bit advanced compared to any other countries?
No, I don't think so.
No?
I think we've got a long way to go. We've certainly got pockets of brilliance, but we're spending too much time just the basics.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Look, back in the days when I was working for Caterpillar, when I was trying to show them there's like 1,200 different specs that they can consider and they can update their total equipment strategy and increase reliability 35% straight away in 6 months of implementation. Everybody was laughing and telling me that I'm too enthusiastic. So what is the gap then? The gap is we don't know what we have from OEM or OTM, what is available, what information is available. We don't recognize the data or the information in the system and process. So therefore, if we don't have this industrial networking, we will not be able to learn. It's very difficult, as I said. And I was personally sort of a little bit of an engineering nerd that I was checking many different specs to understand, but not everybody is into that. So how are we going to make sure we have that right communication in place, right management of change policies and engagement will help us to increase that efficiency to be more productive and impactful. in the future. So this is obviously is about, I said, operation integration and industry network. All right, so this is an interesting subject, and I like it because everyone says, Burcin supply chain, why are you talking about money? Because we have to, right? So if we can't survive in today's environment, we will not be able to manage the change, and we will not be able to survive as an industry in the world. So what should we do? So there are lots of opportunities that you can find out, and I strongly suggest for you to have a look at the artificial intelligence for supply chain, because they can consider using AI, different patterns of the supply chain strategy, which will comes to the maintenance planning and scheduling, strategical plans for not only for equipment, but human behavior, considering emotional intelligence, considering the markets, and the OEM behavior to come up with a solution in supply chain, which is very interesting for Australia if you consider the China, if you consider US, what's happening, what's future, what are we going to offer, which commodities are going to be more common, and what should we work on more than others compared to different commodities that we used to focus more. As I said, like green mining opportunities will impact the supply chain. So that's why I think this is another subject that I am really interested in. I'm seeing benefit, and any company that I work for will become more interesting, like blockchain. I'm sure you may heard different AI methodologies already exist in the digital transformation. So, and again, this is a bit different because I have never seen an inventory AI model, and I'm not sure why, but because I think it's the most important one, an easy one. When you think about it, like there was some softwares that back in the days like AMT, and I think still exist, but we don't utilize as much. We don't implement these technology opportunities. We don't use artificial intelligence. We don't ask that questions. And as a matter of fact, that I was taking personal as well, because one of my cousin told me, who is 15 years younger than me, and she's already a manager, and she said, Burcin, why don't you use ChatGPT to run a research on supply chain potential and inventories? I'm like, what are you talking about? But it is easy now. So you can ask ChatGPT, and then it can create a model for you in Python, and you can write the coding, and it is not always correct, by the way. It's not always correct. So the experience is still valued. However, there are lots of opportunities nowadays compared to back in the days. Like I'm coming from Fortune days, so a lot of things change, but we can't do it if we don't have the right asset operation integration strategy. We can't do it if we don't have these industrial network opportunities. As I said, no one is a guru. We are not AI. We are just human beings. We just need to utilize each other experience and background, learn from each other, and test different scenarios to see which one is going to be more impactful than others, which one is going to be safer. So that's why I do encourage everyone to think about supply chain AI, and it's really interesting, and it's really, we'll show you some depth research as well. I cannot share everything today. I'm happy to have a further conversation what we are doing and what I'm doing personally on this subject, but it will help us to develop technology providers as well as the mining manufacturers. Then we will have a better solutions, better equipment type, better technology solutions, but we need to demand it. We need to ask for it. We need to learn more about it, have the right information to engage more positively. All right. So what do you think was missing in the first slide that I show you? As I said, this is because I'm trying to highlight the importance of operation readiness and integration. In each pillar, we talk about we need definitely improvement, and the things are changing. Yes, it's evolving, but I think we need to revolutionize operation readiness and integration, because otherwise we will not be able to achieve an outcome will help us to increase efficiency in mining or have a safer environment for mining. So operation readiness and integration is sort of still a little bit off in mining. Like if you think about other businesses, like if you look at the construction industry, if you look at the manufacturing, they are a lot advanced than us. And I think this is not too complex. It is still complex itself. But if we create the right strategy, right process, right steps in place, like a sequential way of engaging with our assets at each site, I think we will get a really good outcome. Would you like to add something?
I was just going to say, you're looking there at the mining area. My previous life as the electrical engineer on Collins, the first of the new submarines, that operational readiness and integration was absolutely defined against the specification, the A-spec. What is this supposed to do? How deep to go? How quickly it could go? And you had to prove every single step of that design before you would then enter service. And I think we've really got to learn from that.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, and I was going to talk about, so this is again talking about why we are dependent on operation response. You might have the best technology in place and it might work perfectly, and I'm gonna tell you, one of the tier 1 OEM I know, they already have the right product, but no one knows how to use it, no one knows how to integrate it, no one knows what response we will receive from each side. So I can't tell you enough just how important it is to understand which type of steps that we will follow through, what type of technologies we will need to be aware of. For example, I'm not going to read the slides, you will have them anyway, but understanding what is available, what is right in the information loop, but because you research in the libraries or Google or any other research, they are not always correct. That's why I'm just trying to tell you, yes, it's a little bit scary to see younger generation is more active, they understand all coding, they know they can write a ChatGPT as a tool, they can create a robot, that's great. However, if you don't have the experience, you cannot be as creative as that other person, only understand the data analytics, if you like. So it needs to be a combined effort, collaborative approach for us to develop and utilize this potential in the technology solutions. So this is, again, I love this slide because it does talk about the benefits and some statistical results from the operational readiness. So for example, operational readiness planning already saved 15% of a reduction in capital expenditure overruns. Effective asset management strategies, you can see an increase straight away in availability to 20%. So this is just not me telling you. Of course, there's like, I think 7 different reports that I read in global businesses. It's not always exact, like it might be 10% for your company, but in average, it's already high. Highest we have seen 20% straight away increase as soon as the companies start implementing the asset management strategies. 70% of the mining projects face delays due to inadequate operational readiness. So why do we think that we do already have the project management excellences in every company we work for? Why do we work with consultants and contractors who are the SMEs, right people to help us to increase the efficiency in operational readiness? And change management, so the project delays. So again, so the change management specifically, only for change management, operational readiness is a huge portfolio. You have the integration space and change management, let's say maybe the 40% of it, already sort of helping us to increase the efficiency 30 to 40%, which is, again, so why don't we want to do that? I think it's more important if we get ready with the process, then it will be easier for us to do the integration. And 25 to 30% in the project schedule implementation process. So you can have the right process for operational readiness, but for the execution step, there's different processes that we needed to follow. And it didn't just come based on the theoretical knowledge. This did come from operational experience and the failures. I don't know, maybe 5 different projects that we failed, we did come then a solution to have a different approach in the management of change, or execution strategy wasn't really considered before because we thought if we follow the normal steps, it's going to be okay, but it wasn't like that because in each step, at each site, with different mining methodology or different behavior, or the emotional intelligence at sites, the process didn't work well. So you need to adjust and make sure the execution is also working in the project schedule or consider. Any question so far? Anything that you want to add on? Yeah, that's good.
I'll ask one question.
Sure. Thanks, Dan.
So, some
Yes.
And
They're the highest, best one, yeah.
and yet, particularly in the mining industry, for new projects, new capital projects, you get to the end of the project and all of a sudden there's no money left
Yes,
for operational readiness.
that's right.
Your thoughts on why that is, or considering we know the numbers, why do we still get to the end of the project and there's no money left for operational readiness?
I think this, because the feasibility hasn't been done in a perfect manner. Of course, I'm not going to be judgmental, but I even personally, I am pure engineer, but when I study business, I was surprised and confused. I wasn't sure how I'm going to make comments to talk about project management, operation. It was a big challenge for me. So let's take it easy. I don't think everyone does understand the importance. So the role sits with us, right? So for me, as a technical leader in the industry, I should be able to create and use the data with small pilot projects to prove my leadership team this is important. Work with the consultants, work with the OEMs and OTMs and right companies to create an environment for them to be aware of it. So I blame myself. I wasn't educated enough, like say maybe 10 years ago, to know that this is more critical in the feasibility study for any project, for any implementation, for any procurement strategy that we want to do, like even basic mission procurement process, we still need to do that. Unfortunately, the awareness wasn't there, but trust me, if you look into especially Tier 1 and Tier 2 companies, they already have their own project management department. They already, all of them, already working with the consultants to make sure they have the right approach in the operational readiness. It's getting there. As I said, it needs to be done at the beginning. If we don't do it at first, by the time we get into it, we already lost. So that's why I personally use the cases that we did fail, use the cases that we didn't implement operational readiness, therefore we lost this much money, and it will always work with the leadership team. And the interesting part, and I must say, it was a little bit of a challenge to work with the site people as well. So I was working at site for years. I've done the FIFO roles. I wasn't interested in the corporate team coming and telling me, hey, you haven't done your operational readiness. But if we start talking the right terminology with right people in place to explain them how it will be easy enough for them to integrate themselves with the new technology, how it's going to help them. As I said, we start measuring the emotional intelligence at site to see how they are going to react to management of change. So we need to expand and maybe think outside the box and understand the audience and then go from there. So it's going to improve, and I'm hopeful. I think we have to. It's getting better. Thank you. So this one, again, I like it. I've seen some of the roles that I've been, some of the Tier 1 mining companies that I work for. I've seen once we implement digital transformation, like having a simple dashboard, we start already seeing an increase in 20 to 25% in productivity. With predictive maintenance, it is something that I allow as well. I personally experienced an increase in asset reliability straight away after we start introducing the predictive maintenance. Not maybe as smart as AI yet, but even having the model, like I'm just talking about digital twin, not maybe we are there yet. Even with the digital model or digital shuttle, we start seeing that reliability increase. So this is exciting, and I think we start being more proactive and getting ready and sort of have the excitement to go for it, work with each other, help each other, utilize the knowledge and experience, and improve the efficiency for mining. So this is the statement that I thought maybe in general we can tell. But that's it from me. Anyone has any questions? This is my LinkedIn profile if you want to scan, or you can find me on LinkedIn as well. So how are you going to remember me? My surname is Ozturk, means Aussie Turk. So then you can, I meant to be in Australia. No, this is a joke that I'm always receiving from everybody from
Now, you've been reticent to ask any question. There must be one more from the floor, please.
But
Anything?
I am right on time.
Perfectly on time. You're keeping these people away from their afternoon tea. And a final thing. Look, thank you very much. I missed the timing on that because I was so engrossed. I was enjoying it a lot. There's a lot of things for me to get out of that. So don't forget, please, at the end of this, you've got the opportunity to talk to her directly up at the KPMG session. But we've also want you to put your names for the sessions tomorrow at the 11:35 sessions. They're up top there, all the 15 areas. Put your name down, but let's give her a good hand for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And we're off to afternoon tea.